I I didn't really want to do this. This was supposed to be about the gear I use. Shooting on the video, audio recording, and actual writing. Do this. Writing tools. Not this one. There's a reason it's sitting on a shelf over there. Um, that's what I was. It was supposed to be about story, story over gear. Um, but then I watched Iron Claw, and that movie, it felt it felt like this painful fucking reminder that the world has changed, and I have been left on this isolated fucking island, tiny, weird, little, isolated, and media, and not all of it, some of it, most of it, a lot of it, enough of it, seems to have shifted past this very, very basic tenet of show me, don't tell me. And instead of painting vibrant, emotional pictures to allow me to connect with a character, these films, these current crop of stories, simply tell me what I should be feeling, not showing me. And my emotions, they don't they don't work that way. And yes, yes, yes. Look. My emotions are fucking explosive. Um, my ability to empathize is fucking painful. I created a shitty superhero with the shittiest superpower in the world and wrote an entire novel about him just to express what a plague empathy is to my brain. I will be deeply, deeply moved by a moment in film or television, a story that someone else uh, may not give a second thought to. I think it's it's the pandemic. The current active one that's happening now. I think it's a collective trauma, the endless genocidal wars, desensitization to mass deaths, capitalism, endless destruction, climate change, not to mention the ongoing fetishization of firearms, depersonalization, our collective ability to empathize and I okay, I know, right. What does that have to do? What does any of that have to do with a fucking Zac Efron flick about wrestling? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. Um, spoilers. Okay. So so look. Art is a fucking spectrum, right? It is as much in the eye of the beholder as fucking anything. Okay, and if this movie worked for you and you know you liked it, right? Awesome, good for you. For me though, it was awful, and I would have turned it off halfway through if not for I was watching it to discuss with a colleague. It was a favor watch. It was recommended. Watched it. We were going. If you're watching this video because of Iron Claw, um, uh, my name is Crumbine. I am a writer, author, a screenwriter, um, audiobook producer, and a corporate professional, creative professional. And while I don't always talk vlog about film and TV, I am very very uh, obsessed with story and craft and the creative process. In in the novella I'm writing, which is coming along for people who actually watch regularly. Um, the novella I'm writing, my main character writes comparative movie reviews for a website. That is his career. That is his job. He finds two uh, on their face unrelated films and then uses each of these movies to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of the other. I have always thought that in the film critique space, this would be a bold and unique approach uh, to film critique. So, in honor of the fictional uh, Gordon Wegner and his uh, ice cream, this is the watch list. The Iron Claw versus um, Society of the Snow. Uh, Again, spoilers. All, most, some of the spoilers. Spoilers. I you know, If I would hope that if you're watching, if you found this video, it was because you wanted some validation as to your own opinions on the Iron Claw. That's what I was looking for, and I didn't see it, so I was motivated um, to do this. So, um, both of these movies, they are both very long movies. Both are based on actual events, although Iron Claw is more so the traditional biopic. Both are about horrible, 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 fucking horrible tragedies and trauma. Both movies are challenging to watch, although depending on who you are, it might be for different reasons. As to why it's challenging. Show me, don't tell me. That's kind of the nut of it. I think my big problem with Iron Claw comes down to the script. I cannot fault any of the actors. Um, uh, their commitment is plainly evident. Uh, but also, uh, Jeremy Allen White, fucking the Bear, top 5 show of all time. Okay, he's a phenomenal fucking performer, and the material he had to work with in Iron Claw was dog shit. I mean, it was not great. Okay, okay. This wasn't a Jeremy Allen White scene, um, but um, it's a great example of how terrible the writing in this script was. Early in the movie, Zac Efron goes out on a date with his future wife, Lily James. It's a scene in a diner. Dialogue is stilted. Story threads are perfunctory, if there's any at all. And the whole time, I'm just look. Every scene builds the story. It reveals character details and allows the audience to become more and more invested. And this scene did none of that. It served this mechanical purpose of putting these two characters together, right? Telling us, of course, that there's going to be a relationship here, but absolutely no effort was made to show us chemistry, into intimacy, emotional vulnerability from anyone. So the scene is a chore, much like the entire movie. Again, showing versus telling, telling versus showing. The first half of this movie spends a lot of time on the idea that the Von Erich family is cursed. It's repeated endlessly. It's told to us. And yet, other than passively mentioning how the oldest brother died as a young child, at no point are we shown why these characters believe in their fucking hearts that there is a family curse. And this is really fucking important because in the back half of the movie, when Zac Efron is having a meltdown after the loss of his brothers, he doubles down on the family curse and and pushes his wife and his own child away from him, repeating with great emotional conviction that his family is cursed. So he needs to protect his own child from the curse, and he shoves them away. And it problem is the way the curse the curse theme is handled or not handled for that matter um, in the first half of the film, this big emotional payoff, which again told painted in big broad loud strokes, guys, it became a joke. I laughed because it was just so fucking absurd because of how it was handled. I was not allowed inside of these characters. I was not allowed to become intimate with them, to understand how they struggled to make sense of their tragedies, of their loss. I was told that these brothers love each other. Cats. I was told that these brothers love each other, right? And I was told that because I theoretically have my own personal experience with family, then I can, right, graft that emotional connection onto this story. This is what telling, not showing, does. Where the opposite, showing, takes you by the hand, regardless of personal lived experiences, and takes you by the hand and shows you the painful, intimate truth of these characters. Not that something happened to them, but how it happened, why, and how it affected them intimately. If a story if a story just stays on that surface level, uh, what's the fucking point? Now, yes, okay, yes. Um, these characters, people based on real people, are wooden and showing no emotion because of the toxic patriarchy, and that's a shitty excuse. It really is, because again, this is why I think the issue is really in the screenplay. One of the things that I really like about documentaries and journalistic storytelling is that you can take the most mundane subject, and when you dive deep enough, when you explore the heart of a person, no matter how mundane, that documentary becomes a powerful, engaging story. These characters, these characters in the Iron Claw, never got moments. They never got moments to explore that rich fucking conflict inherent with having such a painfully toxic father. And I think if they had explored that conflict, it would have shown, right, the strength of that brotherly bond. Instead, we're simply told that the brothers have a bond. But I don't feel it. It's mechanical. Everyone is just moved around like pieces on a chessboard, because this here is where they need to be in order for the next part of the story to happen. And when they start, you know, um, dying halfway through the film, these emotional fucking avalanches, they were they were never primed. I was only I I was never allowed to become intimately connected to any one, not a single one of those characters. The mother and Mike, the youngest aside, which isn't saying much. They were almost nearly the most insignificant characters in the story, but they were the best characters because there was an emotional but because the main characters, because I was never able to connect, I was never allowed, the filmmakers never allowed me to become intimately connected to any one of those main characters. Why should I care about their loss? Because I was told to? There's there is so much to critique. But when a movie fails a fundamental storytelling premise, I start to look at other things, um, performance, cinematography, and aesthetic, music, anything a film can hang its hat on. And Iron Claw despite being an A24 release, is just boring, visually, narratively. Really, the only thing that stands out about this picture is Zac Efron's commitment to the role, which again only underscores how weak the script was. If you are a fan of wrestling, um, then perhaps there is something validating in the authenticity of the recreation of these elements. Um, but for me, again, for me, art is a spectrum. For me, without having characters to be invested in, I don't fucking care about how fucking ripped the boys are and how authentic the fights are in the ring. Bouts, they're bouts, aren't the bouts in the ring? I want to feel for these characters, but I wasn't allowed inside. Now, um, the flip side, Society of the Snow. I can't change. I can't change the video. One take. That's how this works. Um, Society of the Snow is about a it's about the rugby team that gets stranded in the Andes. We all know the story, even if we don't know the story. It has been told before. It has been the uh, uh, source material for endless other interpretations and stories and whatnot. We know the story, whether we know it or not. Society of the Snow is directed by J.A. Bayona, who also directed Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, just to connect a relatable dot. He has a very distinctive style. It's visceral. It puts you right there in the action. So, like Iron Claw, I'm not familiar with the story, and with Society of the Snow, it's a it's a foreign language film starring a bunch of unknowns. So there's even more layers of blockage that can prohibit or right slow down that emotional connection with the material. And I think that's where the filmmaking technique ends up taking up the slack, because when that plane crashes, or when an avalanche comes down, or another tragedy strikes, no matter how ready, how prepared I thought I was, these moments, these moments in Society of the Snow are just an absolute fucking gut punch, grabbing hold of you and shaking you violently until you are gasping and panting and as stressed as the survivors on the screen. No words did that for me. I wasn't told anything. I was shown in the most visceral, imaginative, violent fashion, and in the moments between those violent, tragic, horrible events, I was allowed. I was allowed inside these characters, despite language barriers, despite length of film. I was there, experiencing their struggle to survive, mourning their losses, so that when the helicopter finally, finally arrives, I have everything I need to be bawling and standing up from that chair and cheering their rescue, because I was shown on so many levels, not told to simply recall my own experience of being stranded on a frozen mountain and of dying, because I've experienced that. All of that. No, I haven't. Who has? But that is why telling in filmmaking, it's just so fucking lazy. Um, yeah. Uh, Again, look, if you liked Iron Claw, seriously, that's cool. I checked the reviews and um, I don't get it. People really responded well to it. So hey, maybe it's me. It may, yeah, maybe. Although again, I think it is because the world is changing. And not in a good way. I think people's ability to deeply empathize is becoming desensitized. So when these shallow attempts at emotional storytelling actually land for an audience, um, I think what is happening is that people are getting this glimpse, a a reminder of the way things used to be when they could still feel deeply about other people, strangers, seeing them not as numbers or chyrons on the bottom of a screen, but as real human beings to to feel compassion for, or at least that's how I make sense of it. Um, Society of the Snow, another film that was recommended to me, uh, and I watched to discuss later. Um, it is a very it is challenging on a couple of other levels, but I'm still thinking about it, and it is absolutely worthwhile. Um, uh, that's it. That that's it. Thank you for hanging out.